What's up, guys? This is Keith Kalfas with the Untrapped podcast show. Now, not only on all platforms, but now on Spotify. So wherever you're listening, you're in the right place. It's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful year out here crushing it. We got Kory Ballard, founder of Ballard Products, on the show right now. This dude built a $10 million lawn and landscape business, put this mug on autopilot, and then built a huge product business, Ballard Products. You might have seen him all over the internet. You see him on Instagram. This dude, muscles popping, comes up on a mower, jumps off, and he shows you these amazing things he's invented, all these different accessories for lawn care and landscaping equipment that people are using all over the country inside of their actual businesses. So this dude's an inventor. He's got patents. He's a public speaker now, and he's just really risen up to be, almost reluctantly, a social media. He's becoming a household name in our industry, and I got a lot of respect for this guy. And when you meet him in person, he's a little intimidating. Dude looks like he might put you in a headlock. But then I sit down with him at Buffalo Wild Wings at Brian Fullerton's Launchpreneur Academy 2021. We sit down face-to-face, and we just talk. And next thing you know, this guy's captured my heart and my spirit, and he's just a genuine guy who cares so much. He doesn't care about the things you think somebody would care about. Being such a big business guy, he's just a down-to-earth guy. And what I want to talk about with him today on this podcast, super, super important, is what are the roles required of you to play in your business at the different levels. I talk about how to go from 0 to 100K in your landscaping business. If you watch my YouTube channel, how do you overcome the self-limiting beliefs to get out of a dead-end job and get your small business off the ground? And then how do you go out and work your tail off and get that thing up to this huge accomplishment that a lot of people never make it to, is to cross the 100K mark. But then, as you go to 150, 250, 350, 500, a million, the role that you have to play and the amount of stretching and growing and challenging things that you go through, it requires a different version of you. And if there's anybody that knows about this stuff and who's been through the trials and tribulations, it's Kory Ballard for sure. So what's up, Kory?
Not much, man. Glad to be on. It's quite the introduction. I appreciate all the kind words. And our company, Perficut Site Management, out of Des Moines, Iowa, and Omaha, Nebraska, and then Eastern Iowa, is actually $20 million company. You said 10. Well, I'm not trying to brag. If we're going to tell the story, so we built that company to a $20 million company, and over the course of about 27, 28 years. So I've been through, started with a lawnmower and a moped, and I've been through all the struggles that we talk about all the time on your podcast, our podcast. We talk about it, all these events. I just had a phone conversation with a friend of mine the other night, and he's struggling with, he's got a couple $1 million company, and he's going through all the same struggles that we all do. Right now, it's mainly focused on people. But yeah, man, I'm glad to be on, and I appreciate you taking some time, and we'll dig in here a little bit and kind of walk through some stuff.
Bro, I love it. So, all right, so you got your tiny little lawn and landscape business. You're out there hustling. You're excited. The sun's shining. You're your own boss. You got a truck and trailer. Not only are you taking care of your clients, but the neighbors are coming out. And then you have to transition from writing everything down on paper to getting a software. And then now you've got this whole little ecosystem going. You're coming home with dirt on your fingernails. Your boots are dirty, but you're making money. You're crushing it. And you leave your job. You go full-time in your business. Couple years goes by, you cross 100K if you're out there hustling, but then that's when the problems start, when things start piling up. Like, oh, we got to do this equipment maintenance. Now we have to deal with taxes. We got to get on payroll. You got to get workers' comp. You got to have some type of administrative. You got to get a home office or go lease an office. And things start expanding beyond your current capacity. And now you get stressed because you're so busy that it's like, you can get upset, you can make excuses, you can whine and bitch and complain, and that doesn't do anything to solve it. What are some of the things that you have been through and go through, and how do you evolve yourself to that next level so you can grow your business in a way that doesn't make you fall apart at the seams? And I know that you've been through all types of stuff, but that's what I want to talk about. What are these roles?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think, first off, it starts with really sitting down and figuring out what are your goals? What does your business model look like? I'm still a big fan. I say this a lot. I still use paper and pen, and I write down my goals. I kind of write down what are the things I need to do to get there, what obstacles are going to be in the way, and then what am I going to need to do to break through those obstacles? What are those things that are going to hold me back from reaching my goals? And I did that from a pretty early age. I just kind of figured out, okay, where do we want to be? Who do we want to service? And I certainly didn't have it all figured out. We've screwed up a ton of things over the years. And you evolve as a leader based on experience. I mean, I used to be a guy that would yell and holler at people, and I realized, okay, that's not a good method of management. You also learn what motivates people. Some people you can be hard on. The next guy might be super sensitive, or gal might be super sensitive. So you hone your management style and leadership style based on how you figure out people, and you learn what works and what doesn't work. I haven't seen very many successful people that are running around screaming, yelling, kicking gas cans. I don't see that as a very good model. Some people do it. People want to work for people with structure. They want to work for people with goals. And I think the more you lay it out, if you've got 1 employee or 10 employees, most of the time they want to know they're at a stable place. They're going to be taken care of. There's going to be opportunity for them. And so we tried to do that, and I tried to do that from the very, very beginning. And the obstacle, I see that a lot of guys get caught up in the very beginning. I think just thinking of the things that I talk to a lot of guys about that are struggling is they're pretty good out of the gate, right? They get to that 100, 200, maybe even $300,000 pretty quick. And if they're doing the right things and doing quality work, then what happens is they kind of get in this weird spot. They realize they probably need an admin person, but they don't think they can afford them. They need software, but they're not sure which one to pick and what does it need to do and how am I going to utilize it. And I need a shop, but do I need a storage unit? Can I run it out of my driveway? Do I need to go buy a building? Do I lease a building? And all that stuff starts to kind of come together, and you get in those weird modes where you get to $500,000, you get to $1 million, and now you need a full-time admin person. Whether it could be your wife, it could be somebody you got to hire. You start running into the employee problems, right? How do I keep them? How much do I pay them? How do I recruit them? How do I retain them? So all those things I think are pretty common. Right now, the overriding theme is just people. How do I get good people? What it costs to get good people today versus 5 years ago, 10 years ago has totally changed. So, I don't know if that answers your question. I think in the beginning, a lot of people get that fear. And I've talked to a lot of people that say, hey, I just think I need to downsize. I think I need to downsize. And I'm like, why are we downsizing? And I'm not nothing against downsizing if that's your business model. Well, I'm scared. I don't know if I can get people. I'm like, well, we're all scared. I mean, that business is supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody'd be doing it and we'd have a lot more competition. So the people that figure out a way, I always say the people that can endure the most pain, they make it through. Like, you got to be somewhat fearless. You've got to take a chance, but it's got to be also calculated. Like, you have a plan. You can't just wing it when you start getting 5 employees, 10 employees, 20 employees. You got to have a game plan. And it starts with laying out that plan right from the beginning. And then also, how many times has everybody said this? Keith, this is so crazy, but you got to know your numbers, right? What are my numbers? What can I afford? How much top line do I have to do? How much of that's going to flow through to the bottom line? Can I afford that admin person? Can I pay that production manager or field manager so I can get out of the field? And one other thing I'd like to say too is just make sure you're really honest with yourself about what is your skill set. If you're the best estimator in your company or the best sales guy, then be the best sales guy. If you're the best in the field, you're a great trainer, you're great with the guys, you know production inside and out, then be that. If you're not good at admin work, don't do it. I mean, you got to do it a little bit in the beginning, but if you're not good with customers, find somebody who is. You have to be really honest with yourself. And I think a lot of guys, because they're the owner, they want to wear every hat. And I quickly realized in my company, I knew where I was good, and I still do that today, man. I try to surround myself with people that are better than me, smarter than me, focused on what they do, and they do it really well. I get the heck out of the way, and I let them do their job with some guidance. We have a plan, and we're all clear. I over-communicate at times, probably. What is the game plan? What is our strategy? Are we all on board? Is everybody rowing in the same direction? And then let's rock and roll. And then we move together, we celebrate wins, and we talk about losses.
There's so much right now. You just covered so much.
Sorry, podcast is over.
So, all right, here's one thing that comes to mind. When I worked a landscaping job, this landscape boss of mine, this guy was like so tough to work for. I felt like I was reduced down to nothing but a robot, a cog in the machine. And if I wasn't performing, I was out of there, fired. And this guy had such a crazy temper that this guy one time couldn't get the backpack blower started, and he was so stressed out, and the phone's ringing off the hook, and so much is going on. This guy literally was sitting down in the middle of the street, grown-ass man like a kid, punching the backpack blower, screaming bloody murder, and we're like, what the hell is going on? One time, he's trying to turn the truck and trailer around in this commercial property we're cutting, and it was like a tight squeeze, and he just flipped out. He put it in drive and floored it, and the tires are spinning, and he's screaming, and then he slams it in reverse, and now it's in reverse, and he's screaming. And we were in the truck with this maniac. Dude, in the shop, he took a whole welding machine and just smashed it on the ground and took the welding spool and threw it. He's like, ah! This guy would go nuts, but then he would just be calm again, like nothing ever happened, like just like a hair trigger. And so I was like, bro, I will never, ever be like that when I get my landscape business going. And my friend William worked there too. He's a tree guy, and we learn a lot at these different companies we work at. Then one day, it's like June. The phone's ringing off the hook. I'm swamped. Materials didn't deliver it on one time. Here, this, and I'm trying to do so much shit. And I had a guy who didn't have a driver's license, so I'm picking him up and dropping him off, which is like something you should not do. But you get caught in these fun. As I'm dropping this dude off, and my phone is ringing and ringing. And then all of a sudden, my wife calls me. She's like, we got a family event tonight. I'm like, fuck. So I got off the phone with my wife, and I just started punching the steering wheel in front of my employee, going, I'm only one guy. I'm only one motherfucker. One guy. Wah. And I'm punching the steering wheel, having a meltdown. And then all of a sudden, I realize that I'm acting this way in front of my employee, and he's just like totally freaked out. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks that I had become my old landscaping boss that I said I would never be like. And I had these moments where I would go inside of my trailer and start punching the wall and having a meltdown because I'm trying my hardest. And then I realized that, oh, this is how that happens. This is how you get so fucking frustrated that you... And then I learned that, oh my God, I got to grow. I got to control my emotions. Everything that I do gets replicated, or an employee sees me. Any little tiny thing you do is replicated. So you're talking about like leadership, but I'm also talking and seeing of the internal battle, like the hero's two journeys. The one journey is the outer journey of growing the dream and growing the business, but the inner journey is growing and working on yourself. So what type of things did you have to, like struggles, what was a huge thing you had to grow through, or different stages in order to become this leader that people trusted and want to show up to work for every day?
Yeah, good question. You know, I can tell you, Keith, I've been there, man. I've thrown cell phones at the window and cracked my front windshield in the middle of a snowstorm, and your phone will not quit ringing, and all you're trying to do is get the snow plowed, and customers are calling, and the trucks broke down, and sidewalk guys aren't showing up. I mean, we've all done that, and I've done it in front of employees, and I've certainly had breakdowns in my own vehicle. We all learn that, and then the key to it really is, how do we control our emotions, especially in front of our people, and be leaders? Again, my road was certainly not perfect. I remember I chased a guy around a truck and trailer one time that was doing something crazy, and I pulled a guy out of a truck one time. So, I mean, I've certainly, this is 25 years ago, but I've certainly fallen victim to those same emotions. You're stressed out. You got a lot of work to do. Guys aren't showing up. It's been raining. Somebody mouths off or says, I'm not doing this today. And, you know, and before you know it, I've done that same stuff. And I had to start realizing that my actions are being watched every minute of every day by all my people. And if I'm going to lead them and expect them to carry this high standard of core values, care about the clients, care about the equipment, care about the way we act everywhere we go, whether we stop at a fast food place, a gas station, a customer's home, commercial property, I've got to be the leader that acts that way exact and all the time, even when I don't want to. There's been times where you just got to walk away for a minute, catch your breath. And there's certainly things that you have to evolve, and you've got to act the part all the time as a leader. And people don't want to work, just like you said, you didn't want to work for that guy, but then all of a sudden you're acting just like him, because sometimes we do. We act like things we've seen, and sometimes the emotions get the best of us. And so for me as a leader, I just had to evolve over time. I had to get some mentors around me that I thought were really powerful. I had to read a lot. I had to just listen a lot and start thinking about, because, you know, I was pretty young when we were growing the company. I think at 23 or 24 years old, you know, I had probably 30 or 40 guys, and a lot of them were older than me. And so I had to learn, how do I get their respect? I had guys that were working that were 40 years old, and I'm 23 as the owner and as their boss. And I realized that the only way they would respect me is if I treated them with respect. And I also led by example all the time. I never asked anyone to do anything I wouldn't do. I would go out on job sites and meet them, and I wouldn't just give orders. I would jump out and grab a mower, grab a trimmer, and I would show them, hey guys, this is why we do it. This is how we do it, and this is why we do it. And I always talk about, like, explaining the why. Like, we do it this way because it's best for the property. We don't do, we don't spin around trees because it does this. And this is why we don't blow grass into mulch beds or whatever it may be. Whatever line of business, whether you're landscape construction, tree work, lawn apps, mowing, whatever it is. And so I always treated people the way I wanted to be treated. And I found that, man, the better I treated my people, the more I got out of them every day. I can tell you that I also crossed some lines, though. I became really good friends with a lot of employees in the early days. I mean, I was in some of their weddings, and that kind of blurred the lines, too. So I always caution guys there that do that as well, because you can build a really good team when you have that tight-knit. We're all brothers, and we're all best friends, and we drink beer after work. Problem with that sometimes is they can't decipher who the boss is and who the friend is. And so you also got to make sure that you're really clear about, hey, man, I'm here to support you. I got your back. But at the end of the day, this is my company, and I'm going to do what's best for the whole. I got to protect this company. And when I've had to have hard conversations with people where I've sat them down and said, hey, man, Joe, I know we're good friends. I know I really like you, and I like your wife. But, hey, man, your performance is not up to standard. Here's the write-up we did. We're going to walk through this. In 30 days, we're going to meet again. Here's what I need out of you, buddy, or you're going to put me in a tough spot. You're not going to fire me. No, listen, Joe, here's what I'm telling you. In writing, here's the things you've got to work on. Your attendance isn't perfect. Your attitude's been shitty. You think you're above the rules. If you continue this behavior, are we both clear that I'm going to have to terminate you, right? And those are tough conversations, especially when you have a small, tight-knit group, because when I didn't do that, the lines got really blurry. And as a leader, you put yourself in a tough spot when you make emotional decisions and they're not best for your business. Because you really like a guy, right? Like, I love Joe, and I know his wife, and his kid plays on my baseball team. Next thing you know, you're letting a guy not perform at the level, and then everybody else is watching you let this guy not meet the standards of your company, and then they start to drop their standards because, hey, shit, Joe can do that. Kory's not going to fire anybody. So you just got to be very cautious in the way you lead people. And again, what I kind of opened up with, everybody's a little different. Some guy you can pull aside and say, hey, listen, dude, you need to get your shit together. I don't know what's going on. If I can help you, let me know. And he might say, you know what, my wife and I are really struggling right now. I'm like, okay, man, what can I do to help you? In the meantime, you got to step up your game. Then you might have somebody else on the other side that's super sensitive, and you just got to go over and say, hey, man, I see you're struggling a little bit. What can I do to help you today? Hey, I don't feel like I'm being trained very well. A couple of the guys are being mean to me. They're harassing me. You just manage every relationship. And I've said this a lot, like, I'm not in the lawn care landscape business. We're kind of in the people business. At the end of the day, we're in the people business, man, because you can sell all the work you want, man, but if you don't have people that want to work for you, that have your back, that are willing to go out and dig the holes and do the hard work, you can't do it on your own. You just can't build a company on your own, or you'll have a job. I say you'll have a job and not a company, and that's a big difference.
Bro, 2022 is the year of difficult conversations.
Yep.
So that's the saying that I love. Where you'll be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years is directly proportional to the books that you read, the people that you associate with, and the difficult conversations you're willing to have. And there's a book, you can download it on audible.com, called Difficult Conversations. There's another book called Crucial Conversations that I'm reading right now. And this has been a tough thing for me, is to, what's it called? People don't like confrontation. Looking in the face of somebody who works for you every day and that you eat lunch with. And I've gotten way better at it, but now I'm taking it up to another level. Because you get good at it in certain ways, but then there's little pockets of conversations you don't want to have that you just will keep beating around the bush on. And I noticed that those are the main sticking points that are holding you back, and it's the difficult conversations with yourself. So just
real quick, I'm going to just interrupt you real quick. That's 100% the thing I see. When I was doing quite a bit of consulting, I don't do it anymore, is everybody avoids the hard conversations. And that includes with their employees, sometimes with their spouse. Uncomfortable conversations are the only way you can grow. So you got to have those uncomfortable conversations. And the more you do it, the better you'll get. They're uncomfortable. And I have them all the time with people. And I do it. I always try to start off positive, just to give, I say, hey, man, we really love having you here. You've been great, but here's what we need to do different. So I don't go in there and say, hey, listen, you dipshit, you're not performing, and if you don't get better, you're fired. That's not how I go about a difficult conversation. It's, hey, man, Joe, you've been with us a long time. You've grown a lot. We've watched you grow a lot. You're getting much better here. But here's what we need to work through to get better, for you to grow, for you to stay a part of this company. So it's no different than having a conversation with your wife. You might start off with, hey, I love you. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm really fucking pissed off. So you start off with, hey, I love you. I'm not leaving you, but I'm pissed. And so when you have those tough conversations, you get to dictate how they go because they're going to listen. You're the boss. You're the owner. In a marriage, it's a little different. You might not be the boss, but you dictate how it goes. If you raise your voice, then they're going to get defensive and shut down. If you attack, they're going to get defensive and shut down or maybe attack back. So controlling your emotions is the superpower. You got to control your emotions. It's all in the emotion. And if you stay really, really calm, it's amazing. Even when you're telling somebody the worst news possible, they'll stay calm and they listen to you. And then you just control your emotions. And it's amazing the results you'll get. And then you shake hands at the end and say, hey, are we on the same page? Am I clear? Again, if it's with your spouse, at the end, you might just hug and say, all right, are we good? Are we clear? We're going to communicate better? All right. Love you. Moving on.
Bro, I love it. And you talking like that and being that frank with someone else is very important. Jack Welch, the CEO of General Electric, in his book, Straight from the Gut, said, you got to be very candid with people and tell them what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. People are very resilient, and they will actually appreciate you for it and respect you in the long run, and it'll help them grow as well because finally they have somebody in their life who doesn't bullshit. Me looking back, a boss that I had was a Marine Corps sergeant, and this guy was so candid with me that it brought me to tears. Like, he was so truthful, even when it hurt, that it was riveting. He would tell me immediately when my behavior was off or when I was doing a good job.
More of the Untrapped podcast right after this.
Jill's office provides friendly, professional receptionists for small business owners just like you. We can help answer your calls, and we can even schedule estimates and jobs for you. Try Jill's office today and get a $25 discount when you say Untrapped. Just go to jillsoffice.com.
The Untrapped podcast continues.
Today I look as that was one of my top mentors who helped me change my whole life and get my shit together because I never had a solid, like, masculine role person like that. And I could see that you've been that for so many people that I don't even know how many people. And so now here's the opportunity for you or me or anybody listening to become that person for somebody else that they're mentoring. And dude, that's huge, bro.
And they'll carry that forward in their relationships as well. And if they become a manager somewhere else or with your company, I mean, I always say I want people to leave our company better than when they started. So we know that we're not an end game for everybody, but we try to give them skills so that they know how to deal with conflict and tough conversations as well. And so they carry that on. Again, when they learn that you can have tough conversations, and they don't mean, a lot of people think that tough conversations means you got to raise your voice and you got to slam your fist on your desk. Nothing good happens. When the emotions get brought into it, as you know, the conversation immediately, somebody shuts down, you say things you regret, it gets heated, F you, and then you're like, well, I didn't go. Nobody wins now. So it's just, you've got to control your emotions, but you can't avoid those tough conversations. And to your point, people want to know, they want to know if they're doing good, and they want to know if they're doing bad. As much as it sounds shitty, they still want to know if they're doing bad. And I think I said at the LAL conference, like, nobody should ever be fired unexpectedly unless they do something completely that's a non-negotiable. But if anytime we fire somebody, it's very simple. We've had 3 meetings, right, Joe? We've talked about performance, right? And here's what we set forward. And you said you would do X, Y, and Z. You haven't done them. Unfortunately, we're going to have to cut ties here. They should never be surprised because you gave them the proper feedback all along. I hate when somebody gets fired. Like, I don't even know what I did wrong. They never told you weren't performing well? Nope. And I'm like, well, that's crazy to me. So you've got to have those conversations with people, and people want to know how they're doing. You need to do the attaboys too. You need to pump people up. We do a ton of knuckle bumps. We are constantly trying to love our people to death, and it makes a big difference.
I'm laughing. Everything you said made perfect sense, but it made me think of something funny. So I want to go upstream a little bit. When you hire someone, like when I hire somebody, I do an interview, then I bring them onto the job and work. That's like another form of an interview, but I let them know this is just for a day or two to see if you even fit. And then you got to fill out the job application, the payroll forms, everything for citizenship, a gag order, media release form, a job description. You have to sign that because I'm giving you a job offer. There's about 31 pages of documents that they got to fill out before I can give them their first check, because they got to go on work comp and payroll and all that stuff, and then set all the expectations and all the boundaries, and then train them, give them the proper tools they need, assign them safety glasses, earmuffs, knee pads, gloves, and make sure that they sign that they were given all that shit. So, and then you go through all this work and you train somebody, and then you're putting your heart and soul into them, and then they quit, and it costs you like $3,000 to $5,000 you just lost and all that time. So how do you navigate, or I'm not trying to say circumvent it, but how do you deal with that?
Well, it happens all the time. And, we've been better. Our retention rate's at an all-time high right now. We do it a little different than what you do, but we are very, very upfront and open in our interview process. We almost try to, I hate to say it, but we almost take the UPS philosophy where we almost try to scare them out of the job. We talk about, man, it's hot, it's hard work. Sometimes they work Saturdays and Sundays if it rains all week. And this is what snow removal looks like. An 18 or 20-hour shift's not out of the question. And so we really try to be really, really upfront. When we started doing that, we really eliminated some of the people that said, whoa, hold on a second. I don't think I'm built for that. But to your point, exactly, we've done, Wait,
I hired this skinny-ass dude. Nothing wrong. Some skinny guys can work their guts out. Bro, I had this guy up on a stepladder trimming these tall shrubs for hours and hours and hours and hours and teaching him and I felt bad for him because he just got started and the sun's beating on him and I'm to make sure you have enough water and stuff. And I was like, but that's usually what I do all the time with no question. And he felt totally discouraged and he quit, and he said he quit because I can't afford to pay him enough for proportion to how fucking hard the work is. I'm like, well, no wonder he quit. And then I started beating myself up dude, I need to be able to pay these guys $35 an hour. This is hard ass work. I can't believe I've done this for all these years.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Some of the work is, you got to pay them right. And one of the things that we do also is we make sure that somebody's always there at the end of the day, one of their managers, especially when the new guys are there, hey, Jim, how was your first day? Oh, I know you're super tired. I know you're super sore. Going to get better. And we also have a 30-day checkup. Well, let me back up. We have a 7-day checkup. So before they get their first paycheck, they'll meet with their manager, and their manager will say, is this job what we told you it was going to be? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like you're being properly trained? Are you being treated respectfully by the other teammates? And so we try to we found out that we were losing a lot of our people in the first 30 to 16 days. And so we said, what can we do better? Anytime somebody leaves our company, I don't ever blame them. I go back to, what did we do wrong? We hired that guy. We thought he met all the criteria. He went through orientation. We did all the work. And then he quit 9 days in. Instead of saying, oh, he's a lazy piece of shit, I go, no. We're not calling people names. What did we do wrong? And everyone's always like, we didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, yeah, we did. Because we have to take ownership and responsibility for what happened in this situation. So we do the 7-day checkup. We do a 30-day checkup, 60 and 90. And the 30, 60, 90 is with our HR director, and he does the same thing. Brings them in. Jim, how's the job going? Do you feel safe? Do you feel comfortable? Are you being trained? Do you think you're in the right department here? Do you feel like, because sometimes the guy might say, you know what, I'm in the mowing department. I hate mowing. I thought I'd like it. But, hey, I see that you guys also have a floral division. I think I'd be a better fit maybe in the floral division. Or, hey, you're looking for a guy to run a water truck. I think I'd be better on my own. I'd love to run a water route. Before he just quits, because he doesn't like mowing, right, or doesn't like landscaping, we get some feedback, and he says, you know what, I'm mowing. I really, really don't like it. I thought I would. Besides, we have the opportunity to say, hey, do you think you'd be a better fit over here? Yeah, let me try landscaping for a week, or let me go into the tree department. We do a lot of tree work as well, a lot of ground work, and also we have bucket trucks and big trucks that we do. That's a skilled, that's a little bit more of a skill. But so we have the opportunity to find out, before that guy just quits, we find out what's going on. And one of the other things we did recently is we started calling people after they quit with no reason. And we said, we'll give you a $100 gift card. I think it was $100 or might even have been $200 if they would talk to our HR gal. We had a gal in HR, and we said, hey, I want you to call these. We got 50 people that quit last year. See if you can get information from 20 of them. And we'd give them a gift card if they would spend about 30 minutes on the phone. They have nothing to lose. They don't work for us anymore. Like we say, listen, we want, just give us the fucking truth. And they'd say, you guys told me it was this and it was that. And we got a lot of really, really good information. And we took that information and we deciphered it a little bit and said, hey, 20 people said the same thing. They said that they were treated like shit by the foreman, or they didn't feel like they were safe in the truck, whatever the thing would be. If you're going to ask for information, you got to be also willing to listen, and then you got to be willing to do something about it. So we just do a lot of listening to our people. Again, we all know how hard it is to get people. I don't care if you need one guy I just got out of a meeting at Perficut. We're 44 people short for the spring. 44 people short right now. We don't know what we're going to do. H-2B is what we usually use. We bring in guys on work visas. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to get our 30 guys that we normally get. So that leaves us 44 people short instead of 14 people short. So we have to work even harder at how do we make sure we keep the 110 we have right now. What do we have to do to make sure we don't lose 20 more guys? And then I'm 64 guys short come spring. And so, again, listen to your people. Ask them questions. Make sure you're upfront and honest about the type of work you do. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't tell them it's going to be easy. It's not easy. Don't tell them it's not going to be hot out. That's not the truth. So we just try to say, listen, this is a tough job, right? Here's what some of your days are going to look like. And you might not get back till 8:30 at night. It's going to be tough. But to my point, we have somebody there when they get back and they say, hey, man, how was your first day? How was your second day? All right, I know you're freaking sore, right? You can't even move. It's going to get better. Tough it out, man. We're here for you. So you just got to build them up.
They're wheeling the dude out on a hospital bed. He's got bandages around his head like a war movie. How was your first day, bro?
They get out of the truck and they just look like they're going to die. You know, they're like, holy shit, I had no idea what I got myself into.
Hell yeah.
And if there's nobody there to greet them, think about that. You get done your first day and you come back at 8 o'clock at night and you just worked a 13-hour day in the heat and no one's even there to talk to you. And you go home and tell your spouse or your girlfriend or your mom, your dad, and you're like, yeah, I just worked 13 hours. They don't even give a shit. No one is even there. We just dropped the truck off. We clocked out and went home versus, yeah, I got in. It was a horrible day. I got my ass kicked. But hey, Bob was waiting for me when I got back and he knuckle bumped me and he told me it's going to get better. And I know I'm sore right now, but man, it's going to get better. He's probably going to show up the next day. But if you're not there, that alarm might go off the next day at 5:15. He might be like, shit, they don't even care. They weren't there when I got back. I'm sore. It's hot. Fuck that. I'm not doing that anymore.
Dude. So this is really powerful right now. All right, the next thing I want to ask you, obviously to grow a business, because we're talking about what does it look like, what is your role, but I want to say one little thing on the side real quick. Imagine if you're having like a party and you're real excited about this and you're going to barbecue food and you got people coming over this weekend and you really are excited about it. And so you're like, man, I'm going to go get ribs. I'm going to get chicken, barbecue sauce, this, that, the paper plates. Oh my God, I'm going to call and invite these people, man. We're going to get some fireworks. It's going to be awesome. Get a case of beer. And you want to do it because you're excited and you already picture the party. You got 20 people coming over and it's like this thing is real to you and you want to do it. And so running up to the grocery store because you forgot like the barbecue sauce is not a big deal because you're just pumped up and it's all happening and there's not friction because you want this thing to happen. And what I'm talking about is in your business, if you're just like in survival mode and trying to make it, every next responsibility can feel like a total drag and just suck all your emotional energy. And what I'm hearing from you is the blueprint in your consciousness or in your spirit is a $20 million company. There's something inside of you that loves that pictures that's part of who you are, that's your nature. You were born to be. I'm not saying these skills can't be developed, but what I mean is it's almost like when you have a passion that instead of you having to get behind yourself like a donkey with its heels in the ground and push yourself to do it, this thing is pulling you into the future. It's pulling you because you have so much passion and excitement. But with all of that being said, the roles that I'm talking about, obviously the goal is to like replace yourself. If you're the guy out there digging the ditch and operating the lawnmower, you want to get off the mower and have someone else do that so you can focus on sales, right? And then eventually if you're doing all the paperwork all night and not spending time with your family, you want to get someone admin in the office to help you do the invoicing and billing, and then you want to have someone help with the hiring and all the payroll stuff, and you want to outsource that stuff. But there's a lot of things that happen in the business that are always popping up, these kind of fires. And now you're running the business and then you become a firefighter, and in between that you're running around putting out fires. How do you actually, I know this is like, it's not a loaded question, but how do you grow the business while being a firefighter, while doing everything you got to do? Like you're only one person. The average person trying to crack 300,000 is pulling their hair out until they learn how to build these systems. But then you got to learn how to build the systems and actually build the systems while running the business, while balancing. It's so much that it's overwhelming, and you've built a $20 million company, and that is so far over so many people's heads that you could talk about the things you've been talking about for 5 hours, and they're still, but yeah, but how do you actually do it?
Yeah. Again, I think it starts with, again, what is the game plan? And again, as an owner, you're right. In the beginning, wearing all those hats, right? And everybody handles it different, but if you're always putting out fires, If that's your nature, and I've got guys that work for us that we say it all the time, man, he's just a great firefighter, man. That dude, he can think on the move. He's a great firefighter. But firefighters don't put in good systems because they don't have time to build systems because they're too busy putting out fires. And what you have to stop and do is say, okay, I keep putting out this fire over here. And then you have to stop and go, okay, what's lighting that fire? What is the reason that I have to keep doing this same thing every 3 times a week? I got to make a special trip out here because the guys don't have the right tools. What system do I need to put in place to correct it? And that's where most guys don't stop. And what they tell me all the time is, I don't have time to deal with that right now. I'm too fucking busy. I'm saying, but the reason you don't have time to fix the problem is because you haven't fixed the problem. You just keep doing the same shit over and over, expecting different results. We could talk about the definition of insanity, right? It's the same thing. Same thing over and over, expecting different results. So what most guys can't do, and you hear it all the time, and Keith, you've probably been there, is like, I'm too busy right now to look at software. I'm too busy right now to do training. I'm too busy to... I've heard guys say, I need more people, but I don't even have time to interview. And I'm like, you'll never have time to interview because you're too busy. Well, like, yeah, I know I don't have time to interview. When am I going to do that? I'm like, but if you don't stop, figure out what you need to fill these roles and start interviewing, you're always going to be in the same exact spot. So don't expect anything different. So I like to just try to figure out, okay, and sometimes you got to help a guy through it and say, man, what are the things that just absolutely are eating up all your time? I've made people do that for a week straight. I want you to write down everything you do throughout the course of the day. From the time you wake up till the time you go to bed, mark down when you take a shit if you need to. I want to know, if you keep saying you're working 16-hour days, I want to know what your 16-hour day looks like so I can help you manage that. And you'll start to figure out that those guys are running in circles all day long. And I'm like, no wonder you don't get anything done. All you do is put out fires all day long. And I'm like, so what are the 5 reoccurring things that are eating up your time? And then how do we figure out how to fix them? Is there somebody else that can do them? Is there somebody better at it? Are you not planning your day better? Could materials be delivered to job sites? Is it a training issue? Is it a staffing issue? So it just goes back to, but as a small business owner, I hear it all the time, and probably you do too. I don't have time. I mean, I'll work on my systems in the winter. I'm like, but if you know there's a problem right now, May 15th, you're going to wait till December to fix it? I don't think so. If I got a problem May 15th, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to say, okay, what is this problem? What solution do I think we can come up with? And let's try it. And let's just see if it gets better. We all sit down with whoever we think we need to talk to and say, hey, this is not working in our company. I think that we can do this better, different, whatever it may be. So again, it's an owner-operator. When you're wearing all those hats, you're just so overwhelmed that you don't even know where to start, right? That's where most guys tell me, like, I got so many problems, I don't even know where to start. Just start with one. What problem is causing you the most stress? What's taking the most time? And then what could you do to fix it? And then quit making excuses. You don't understand it. That's just not how it is in Ohio. What do you mean it's not how it is in Ohio? What are you talking about? Like, I get that all the time. You don't know what my market's like. And I'm like, well, I know what your schedule's like. And you just told me your wife's about to leave you. And you just told me you're miserable. And you just told me you're not profitable. So you can either try my method or another method, somebody else's method, or you can just keep doing what you're doing and be miserable. And eventually you're going to shut it down, or you're just going to go work for somebody else because you don't have any solutions and you're not willing to try it. You're not willing to try anything else because, again, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I don't have time to work on that. Man, it's just an evolution again. And I always try to hire people with different skill sets. You know, people they always say, I wish I could clone myself. And I always say, I don't want to clone me. I'm enough. You don't need another one of me. What I need is somebody else that's really good over here. I'm a tornado. You don't need 2 tornadoes in a business. So I got to get people over here that can calm the tornado down. I need to surround myself with people that are really good at the things I'm not good at. And that's what's your key. And I'm like, I just hire people that are really good at things I'm not good at. Like, well, if there was 2 of me, I'm like, you don't need 2 of you. You need somebody else that's different than you. And that's the key.
And one caveat is none of this can even happen if your numbers aren't right and you don't know if your sales and marketing isn't dialed in, you don't have the leads coming in, you're not selling job at the right dollar per hour amount to make enough profit margins to be able to hire those people and make it all work.
100%. Yeah, that's just it too. If you're not making any money, then you're really in a bad spot because you can't do anything. You just got to keep doing the billing yourself. You got to keep working 80 hours a week because you're not making any money and you're too scared to raise your prices, but yet you're just running in circles and you're miserable.
Which goes back to having difficult conversations with yourself and then clients to raise prices and knowing you're going to lose some of them. And it's this whole ecosystem. I do coaching and consulting too on Monday nights. I've been doing it for 5 years in a very small way. Obviously, I don't have a $20 million business, but I help guys get started and take their business to $100K. And I have clients. If anybody here wants to talk to me, it's keithkalfas.com/call, right? So I'm talking to one guy the other night, and I could just tell by the tone in his voice that he was in a gestation period that even though he knew the facts, he just was not ready to take the leap and take action and go full time. And there was going to have to be, I don't know, it could be another couple of weeks, it could be 5 more years before whatever that was inside of him. But I know when I'm going through a gestation period, it's like I feel like God is working something out in me, and I just need to keep playing this role for a while until I come up to the surface and come to a resolution inside of myself where I know that I know that I know that I know if I don't change something, this is never going to change. But also I know if I keep hustling and working, I could build a buffer, like actual physical dollars in a bank account that will protect me while I take a leap. And that brought me to who, not how. My media business is growing faster than my landscape business. My landscape business is just a tiny little business, and I love it. We're restructuring it this year. I'm moving over to this like pay for performance type thing, and I'm really fascinated by my landscape business now that I've gotten out of survival mode, and now I'm looking at it objectively, and it's fun. It's finally become fun to me. But what I'm learning is like I always would try to jump in and do everything myself, and now I'm looking at I have 12 people working in the media business, like part-time virtual assistants, and every time there's something comes up I don't know how to do, I'm finding people that can do that for me that I can pay, and I'm the facilitator. But the reason I'm saying all that is because I'm learning as you grow your business, there's this whole other side of it of you're constantly doing things that you don't know how to do that you've never done before, and banging your head against the wall because there's this whole new thing that you don't know, and you could be looking like a dumbass to other people, and you'd be like, hey, well, how the hell am I supposed to know? I've never done this in my life, but this is my first time. And you move into this ecosystem where you can't relate to other people anymore because you're growing a business and most people don't. So then you got to get around other business owners that are in that same stratosphere or beyond you, or start paying for coaching and consulting. Go and reach into your wallet and pull it out and pay that $1,000 to a consultant who can help navigate you through that stuff. That's why coaching and consulting is like exploding. Have you had to hire coaches and consultants? Like, how did you navigate through those really tough spaces when you didn't even know what it looked like?
Yeah, over the years, we used a guy named Tom Grandy way back in the day. You know, I was fortunate enough to have quite a few guys around me that had successful businesses. And I still to this day have coffee with probably one person, 2 people a month, sometimes once a week, that not even in our industry. Had a guy that owned a bunch of banks. And I remember when he told me, basically, Kory, you know, what would you rather be happy? Would you rather be right? Which you've heard a lot, because I was so worried about always being right. And I remember him talking about paying my people more. He's like, Kory, what if I told you that your company was going to make $100,000 a year less in profit, but you could sleep at night and you could be happy and you didn't have to be here 80 hours a week? Is that a trade-off you would need to make? And I'm like, nope, not today. And he's like, really? So you'd rather be miserable? And so I'm like, well, wait a minute. I've just tried to always surround myself with people that are doing it. I mean, I got friends that own roofing companies, electrical companies, and I always talk to people. I'm like, why are you not networking? Why are you not set up a lunch or a coffee once a week with somebody, and don't try to sell them anything. You're not trying to sell your services. Just get to know people and their business and their perspective and people that are actually getting it done, and ask questions and then shut up and listen. And, you know, we did coaching and we did consulting with people because we didn't know our numbers back in the day. I've always had some pretty good mentors around me, but you've got to be willing to change. When I was doing consulting, and it's been a couple of years just because I realized I didn't have the time to do it the way I wanted to, and I didn't think I was helping guys like I wanted to. And because one of the questions I asked in my questionnaire that you had to fill out is, you know, would you rather be big or profitable? And everybody said big, which made no sense to me. And a little bit is, what are you willing to do to get there? And people would say, I'm willing to do anything to get there. And then I would start doing consulting with them, and they would start telling me all the things they weren't willing to do. And I said, a couple people, I just gave them their money back. I said, listen, I can't help you because everything I've suggested, you've told me you can't do. So I don't know why you're paying me, because you're not willing to change. Are you willing to go to any length to make your life better, to make your marriage better, to make your business better? If you're not, then I don't know what you're paying me for. And so I just talk to guys about, man, just look at people that are doing it and listen. And you don't have to change everything in your business, just one small change at a time. Can I fix this problem this month? Next month, we're going to tackle this one. Sometimes guys, they go to LAL, they go to GIE, and they come back and they go, I got 20 new things we're going to do. Don't do 20 new things. Don't do 10. Don't do 5. What 1 or 2 things can you do that's going to make it an immediate improvement in your business, in your culture, in your staffing, in your bottom line? What can you do that's going to make a difference? And are you willing to do it? Because it's hard work. Nobody likes to change. Nobody also likes to admit when they're wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I screw up all the time. I'm like, you know what? That didn't fucking work. So, what do you got? You guys got a better suggestion? And then you also have to trust people. If you're going to put people in place, you have to trust them. If you're not, then just don't hire them. I give people a lot of, I let them act like entrepreneurs inside of our company on both Ballard and Perficut, and I trust them. We were just going through this whole new website thing, and they said, like, what do you think? And I said, what do you think? Like, we love it. I'm like, okay, let's go with it. You love it? Looks good? I trust you. Let's do it. Like, that's why I hired you. You're better at this than me. Just do it. And if every time somebody brings you an idea, you shoot them down, they're not going to bring you ideas anymore. So you've got to be open. You've got to be willing, and you've got to listen. And you've got to, again, man, it's freaking hard owning the company, man. People all the time, I wish it was easier. I'm like, I'm glad it's hard. It'd be a lot more competition if it was easy, bud. It's supposed to be hard.
It's supposed to be hard.
Stick around as Keith returns with more of the Untrapped podcast in just a moment.
Hey guys, I just want to say this podcast episode is brought to you by Lowe's Home Improvement. I'm super proud we have a brand new sponsor, Lowe's, and you can get a lot of stuff you need for your business from Lowe's, and also you can shop on Lowe's online and they'll deliver almost anything right to your doorstep. All right, let's get on with the show.
This is Untrapped with Keith Kalfas.
My friend Joshua Latimer, he's speaking at my live event March 25th and 26th, the Marketing ROI Live Workshop in Shelby Township, Michigan. If you want to learn more and get tickets, go to keithkalfas.com/ROI Live. But Josh has built multiple 7-figure businesses, and he's personally coached over 1,000 small business owners. And whenever I get on the phone with him, we're friends, and he just starts coaching me. And I'm like, dude, stop coaching me. He can't help it. He wants the betterment of the people he's around. So it's just in his nature, right? And I have all these stupid little idiosyncrasies and insecurities, and I have some of these negative belief systems that hold me back. And heat-seeking missile, he knows how to get up underneath that part of my brain and find that thing when we're on the phone. And then now I'm all vulnerable, sharing with him some stupid belief I have that's holding me back. And he will challenge this thing and pry on it to the point where it's like so vulnerable for me. And I don't want to let go of that belief system because my ego is so strong and it like protects me. And then he'll get pissed off and he'll be like, dude, seriously right now, if you seriously believe that, you're so brilliant, but you have like this big weight hanging off of your brain, just hanging you down. That's what that belief is doing. How's that belief working for you? And I'm like, and then I have to get off the phone with him. I feel stupid. I feel insecure. I'm like, man, I'm not on his level. But what's happening is it's forcing and challenging me to grow and upgrade my identity, and it works. And that's what I love about being around successful people and people like you, and even this conversation right now, this podcast, these other podcasts. Like, we have access to all this information right now. And dude, I want to thank you so much and take a minute to thank you because you were growing your business and going through all this stuff before all this podcast stuff exploded. And you could be doing anything right now. And you're right here, right now on the Untrapped podcast and sharing your knowledge and wisdom, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate being on. And you're right. Keith, one thing you just said, man, you got to be willing to be, I'm extremely open and vulnerable all the time. And people say that all the time, like, I thought you'd be so different. And I'm like, I just tell you how it is. I don't know everything, not even close. We still screw up all the time. But man, if you're going to grow, you got to be vulnerable. And I mean, I use it for marriages. I use it for friendships. I use it as being a father, a business owner. You've got to be vulnerable and you've got to be honest and you've got to be really freaking honest with yourself. And I think that's where most people get trapped, man. The ego, you mentioned ego. I had a business. We bought a couple companies and one was losing a shitload of money. And my ego kept that thing open way too long. My pride kept it open way too long. And finally I just said, dude, what are we doing? And you just sometimes got to be really, really open and honest with yourself. And I've seen a lot of ego and pride take companies completely out of business. And I've seen it ruin marriages and I've seen it ruin friendships. And you got to challenge yourself If you're hanging out with people that aren't challenging you, like you're talking about your buddy, Josh, if you're hanging out with people that aren't challenging you, you're hanging out with the wrong dudes. I'm just telling you, you better be hanging out with people that are asking tough questions. At least that's who I want to hang out with. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, I got to get out of that room. I got to find some new dudes to hang out with, man. And I got coffee groups I meet with a couple days a week that are men that are, and we don't talk about business. We just talk about life and being better parents and being better husbands and what we're struggling with. And we just talk about life. And man, I get more out of that stuff than I could even tell you. It's amazing, but you got to be vulnerable. You've got to tell people the truth, and your friends got to call you on your bullshit. If they're like, Kory, what you're doing is fucking stupid, I want to know that. Like, just tell me. But you can't get pissed. You got to go, you know what? You're right, man. I got to make a change.
I love it, man.
And you got it. What's your thing at LA Hill? You got to take action. You got to freaking take action.
Action cures fear.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
So I want to be respectful of your time. We're on 57 minutes right now. I want to ask you a couple questions, 3 questions. First question is, what are some of the best books that you read or you're reading right now?
Oh, God.
Or audiobooks?
I've got Who Not How in my truck right now by Dan Sullivan. It's a book about bigger goals and achieving teamwork. I just cracked that one. What have I read lately? This does not pertain to business at all, but Matthew McConaughey, Green Lights. I just did that one. It doesn't, but man, it's just a really interesting story of his journey just through life and overcoming obstacles and different things. Oh, what other books come to mind? I haven't been reading near as much as I used to, just out of time. I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I don't know if another one comes to mind right now. I can't even think. We read a lot of the stuff on the EOS system, which is a business program that we use in our company called Traction. So I read a lot of the EOS books that are really just about leadership. And so there's a whole group of books there. I can't even think of the author right now. But so my reading's probably
the book
not
Traction by Gino Wickman?
Yeah, so Wickman's got the whole series. So we do the Traction program at Perficut. So there's a series of books that Gino's written.
Traction, Rocket Fuel, and...
Yep. Those I've read all those, and that's a part of our program. Those are great books. The original Traction book is a really good book. You can implement it in your company. Helps you have L10 meetings, which are called level 10 meetings. It teaches you how to walk through meetings, how to set goals, how to have productive meetings with your team versus, we used to have these meetings where we just sit around and talk. And these meetings hold accountability, and they teach you how to take action. And there's accountability and goals, and that's how you have a productive meeting.
I love it. Now, who are some of the people that you look up to, or people that you pay attention to in person or in social media? Like, what are some of the gurus or business people that you really aspire to be like, or you've learned a lot from?
Oh, that's a tough one, Keith. Business-wise, most of my guys are local. I don't have these famous celebrities that I follow or Instagram guys. I don't feel like it's very tangible. I feel like it's a little bit, they paint a beautiful picture and tell you how you're going to get rich on NFTs. And I just try to surround myself locally with a lot of really professional people and friends. And I constantly am networking with people and new people. So that's what I do locally. I mean, I don't feel like there's online. I don't feel like there's any one person that sticks out. I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, which is not business related, but I do love the fact that he brings these guests on from all over, and I just like to consume information, and just whether it's about COVID or it could be an MMA fighter, it could be an actor, an actress, it could be a comedian. I just love getting different perspectives on what makes people happy, what their goals are, just listening and learning to how people navigate through life and ultimately try to find happiness doing whatever it is that they do. And I'm not doing really good on your books in my mentor categories.
No, I like it. You mentioned Dan Sullivan's book, Who Not How. Phenomenal book. You can get it at audible.com. Gino Wickman's 3 books. You got Get a Grip, Traction, and Rocket Fuel. Those 3 books will punch you in the stomach and be like, whoa, I need to get my shit together.
They do. You're like, oh, I got some work to do.
All right, third question. What's your next bold move? What are you working on right now? What's the precipice? What are you focused on?
Well, this current moment, I'm really focused on the Ballard business. I'm really taking it to the next level and continuing to build a great team here. I've just changed a lot of my goals. I'm 46 years old now, and I don't act like it. I don't feel like it, but I am. And so I'm really working on life balance. I've got a 9 and 7-year-old at home, and I'm trying to really put my life into perspective. And my wife lately has just been said, like, Kory, how much is enough? And I'm like, I don't know. I always want more of everything. And so my goal at this point in my life is I'm trying to really look at what's going to be important to me. Is it how much money do you need to collect? to be happy. And what does that look like? And so I'm really been pushing myself hard on my faith, spending a lot of time working with the guy, working on my spirituality, working on being content and happy. I fight this fear that I'm not enough. I don't know who told me I wasn't enough. I don't know if anyone ever told me I wasn't enough, but I constantly hear, Kory, you're not enough. I don't know why. That's just what I hear. So I'm competing with myself 24/7. And I think everybody's keeping my score. Truth is, no one's keeping score but me. I'm the only guy keeping score. And so I'm really, really trying to balance out, what do I want? When do I want to retire? What does that look like? What would I even do? I'm the kind of guy that I like to be busy. I can't get up, drink a cup of coffee, and play a round of golf. I'll go fucking crazy. So I'm just trying to, at this point in my life, build a great company here with Ballard. My role at Perficut is drastically diminished. I'm on the strategy team there, but it doesn't require a lot of my time. Got a great team there. And so I'm just working on trying to be the best husband, the best father, best friend, business owner I can be, and trying to be very, very grateful for the blessings that I've had and not sit around all the time trying to conjure up the next move. Like my wife's like, dude, what? Slow down. Like, you're not enjoying life. You've got everything. What do you want? I'm like, more. More of what? I'm like, I don't know. I just want more shit. And the truth is, that stuff doesn't make you any happier. I promise you. I talk to people all the time. If I had more money, I'd be happy. No, you won't. You'll be happy when you're happy. If my wife was better looking, if I just got married, if I had a bigger house, if I could just get my company to 2 million, I'll be happy. No, you won't. You won't. That happiness comes with inside, and you got to figure that out. And so that's what I'm working on.
Dude, that was amazing. That hit me hard. I hope it hit you guys hard listening. All right, bro. Let's wrap this up. What's your website? Oh, yeah, we got a partnership. Talk about if anybody wants to order anything for their business. You got so much cool shit, cool stuff.
Yeah, so we got a ton of products. A lot of stuff we develop. Some stuff we are just distributors for. Other products that we find that we think will help the industry. We've got a ton of new stuff coming. So if you use the Keith 10, right? Keith 10 is 10% off on the anything on the Ballard website. So it's ballard-inc.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. We got a ton of new stuff coming. We got everything from mower accessories to mower blades, trailer accessories, safety gear. And we got a bunch of really, really unique stuff coming to the market here probably by about April 1st. We're still fighting the supply chain issues, but we really worked hard this winter on getting stocked up so we can make sure we can meet everyone's demands. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in any product that we have, jump on ballard-inc.com. Make sure you use Keith's code. You'll save 10% off anything on the website. And, we certainly appreciate the partnership, Keith, and we appreciate you having me on. I love talking about business. I love talking about trying to lead people. And if there's anything I can do to help you guys, you shoot me a message. My direct email is Kory, Kory, at Ballard, BALLARD-INC.com. My direct email, it comes right to me. Nobody else monitors it. You got a question about your business, struggling, shoot me an email. I promise I'll get back to you.
Man, powerful. That's a huge offer. Thank you so much for being on the show on the Untrapped podcast. Guys, if you like the show, leave it a well-worded positive 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And Kory Ballard, that's the end of the show. See you guys next time. Later.